What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Pet Shop Boys as we continue through the bonus material in this expanded folder from the 1996 album Bilingual. Thank you as always to Seb and all those following this deep dive for however long you've been here. And this is the other B-side from Vide E, which is to say it's Betrayed. So yeah, it's a single word title, but the meaning, at least in principle, is quite clear. The idea of being wronged by someone in a way that is not only painful or disturbing, but represents a breach of trust. Someone who was either in confidence, or someone who was supposed to be sympathetic or helpful, or at the very least affectionate, suddenly has done something that is harmful. And I think there's a very clear indication of intent, meaning you could make a mistake which would lead to you failing to live up to something you said to another person or something you promised you would do or be, but I don't know if that would typically invoke the word betrayed. I guess someone could use it for a bit of hyperbole. It's like, oh, how could you make that mistake? You've betrayed me. But betrayed usually involves deliberate intent to harm someone, and again, within the context of being someone who was trusted or valued. So yeah, that all sounds a bit dramatic. I don't necessarily know what to expect beyond that because it is a single word title. I would maybe expect this relate to psycho-emotional connections, romantic connections, intimate connections that were severed in a manner that was wholly uncalled for. Let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Pet Shop Boys. The song is Betrayed. And as I said, it's a B-side for the Vide E single from the proper album. Oh yeah. Little drum and bass.
hard done by me. Did you ever feel betrayed by someone in your life? Did you ever give your trust and have it sold? For the sake of cheap experience, I now experience being betrayed by you. That's all you had to do to make me feel betrayed by you.
The whole track, I'm really just keyed in on and fascinated by that percussive scheme, especially at the measure breaks. Like, it's like most of the track is in drum and bass rhythm and styling, but right at the measure break, it's like it's sampling a breakbeat tune, which, roughly speaking, drum and bass has a rhythm that's like double time from breakbeat. They're both syncopated and they both have that like beat snare or beat clap, whatever it is, but like beat snap, beat snap. And yet breakbeat is like, again, half tempo relative to most drum and bass. And obviously there's varying tempos track to track, and I'm sure you could find examples where, like breakcore, where it's like notably faster and harder, but it is still technically breakbeat. But the point is, like, it's like this, the final hit of the measure was like a sampled percussive flourish from a different tune. Now maybe it was just an eccentricity of percussive and rhythmic scheme, but it really stood out because it was like it's flourishing at this drum and bass rhythm, and then it gives you a bit of a slowed down breakbeat hit, and then it goes back into the drum and bass for the next measure. So the whole time that was catching my ear, and I was fascinated by it. Overall, the tune has this down-tempo electronica kind of vibe. Indeed, it, like, if you take out the vocals, it feels like the kind of track that played in what was back in the 90s rave parties I went to, which again is like second half of the 90s. But there would often be at bigger parties like a down-tempo or like chill-out area where, number one, oftentimes there'd be like refreshments, like, people selling water bottles. It was a bit less intense, so you could actually carry on a bit of a conversation as opposed to being in a techno or a hardcore room where, someone would lean right into your ear and like, shout something and you'd still be like, I have no idea what you just said. So yeah, in those areas, there was this like kind of down-tempo, groovy, a bit jazzy type of electronica they would play, and this tune would fit very easily into that. Though again, most of those tunes that I remember from that era and those areas were not like vocal heavy. They didn't have like proper lyrics, but still also there was a lightness to this tune melodically that belies the feeling of it. So again, he is talking about being betrayed. Now at first I thought it was maybe more like professional, and in that regard I wasn't thinking that it was autobiographical, that somehow this is like Neil talking to Chris or vice versa, but it did seem like, if you have to choose between a friend and money, choose the friend every time. It's like, so this was like someone sold out or took all the credit and revenue for something and left the other person out in the cold, or left them behind, or minimized their contribution. And so it felt more like a partnership in a creative capacity, maybe specifically a music capacity, that was betrayed and again sold out by the other person. But then as it went on, it felt like, wait, maybe it is more personal in a like psycho-emotional, maybe romantic capacity. Either way, I'm fascinated by the way the narrator is saying, like, and it sounds like he's especially stung by the way the other person, despite doing this and betraying them in a breach of trust, which is talked about specifically, it's like they're going around saying to other people that they were the one hard done by, but not justifying it to him, which on some level it's like, okay, well, like if they know they're the one who actually betrayed you, they're not really going to try to sell that to you. They're going to try to sell it to others to maintain their reputation and to make it seem like, oh, they're the sympathetic one, they're the one we should side with in this dispute. But they're not going to say it to you because, you know, you can see right through it. And that, you know, even if they're like the best salesman, so to speak, ever, it would basically fall on deaf ears because, like, what are you talking about? You know as well as I that you're the one who, you know, broke the trust. You're the one who betrayed. So I was intrigued by that phrasing. Now, in the end, again, it could be both, right? It could be on some level it was a creative partnership or a, you know, professional partnership, but there was also a personal connection that was severed every bit as strongly by the actions of the other person. But it's interesting. It's almost like there's not strong vitriol. There is like a sense, I think, of injustice and hurt that comes across in the narrator's words, but it's not like, oh, you're going to pay for this and, you know, I'm going to go tell everybody else what you're saying. It's just like, damn, really? Like, did you really do it? And you're really going to other people saying that you were the one hard done by. It's almost like this incredulous sense of like, wow, like that you took the betrayal even farther by what you've done after the act in itself. So I don't quite know what that act was. As I said, at first I thought it was professional, then I maybe thought it was emotional, maybe even romantic, and again, perhaps there's a bit of both of that. But I just was fascinated by the emotional storytelling the narrator does, and I do enjoy Neil's vocals. They're very, again, like soft and reflective. They fit the tone of what I took away from the story that's being told. So again, I enjoy it. It's like electronica, like, you know, dance music adjacent. It again, it hits a bit more with the vocals and the lyrics, and even in terms of the actual beat and sonics, it's more of like a mood tune than a like dance floor track. But again, it's the kind of stuff that I would hear at some rave parties in an area that was designated like, oh, you know, you can sit down here and whatever, which is to say, some of the parties back in the day, like security was like, you weren't allowed to sit, which I think was actually like, you know, because if people are sitting, they can kind of like, you know, cover over what they're doing, and there might be illicit deals being made, and so the security's like, you know, if you're sitting, you're out. So yeah, in this chill out area where you would hear this kind of stuff, there was a more lax policy in that regard. I don't know why this became a bit of a like expose in my rave memories. I do apologize for that, but again, the sonics were such that my brain went there. And again, I'm fascinated by the beat structure at the measure changes, which seem to like throw in a bar or just, you know, like a one beat part that was like not fully in sync with the drum and bass rhythms, and yet overall the larger like meta beat structure, it still works. So a fascinating tune. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Peace. What was that, Luca?